Welcome to In the Clutch Sports Talk and More podcast. I am your host, Darrell Early. Today I won't be talking about sports. I'll be discussing a hot item on the news cycle right now, Ice Cube's contract with Black America. First, let me start off by saying I feel that what Ice Cube is doing is great. I'm just not exactly sure he's going about it the right way, and this is my opinion. Even though he's not specifically endorsing either candidate, it's dangerous considering what's on the line for this election. Now, I agree with him that no matter who wins, we're going to have to work with one side or the other, so I can see you kind of straddling the fence. But this is a very dangerous time in our country. And I think it's important that we make a push for what's best for the country. Now, some people might not agree with Trump, some people might not agree with Biden, but I just feel like there is a change that needs to occur in the administration that is currently in office. And I also agree with Ice Cube that no matter what, you're not going to be able to trust either side because once they get in, it might be a whole different thing. And I'm not just going to come down on Ice Cube. Billionaire BET founder Robert Johnson also made a statement with his supposed support for Trump. And just look how stuff goes. Where I come out as a businessman, Johnson said, I will take the devil I know over the devil I don't know any time of the week. So basically he's endorsing Trump. Again, I think this is very dangerous because you're putting personal gain over the gain of the whole, which is the country. And let's not forget our entertainment partner, 50 Cent. 50 Cent also endorsed Trump this past week. Again, it's based on money. It's based on, what the projections are for Biden's tax plan, where it's saying that New York, California, Texas, states like that might have as high as a 62% tax rate. So with him, I can see it, based on the taxes. But as far as what needs to happen as overall for this country, I just can't go with that. But those guys can vote how they want. That's their opinion. This is my opinion. Anyway, as we go through this contract with Black America, I want us to consider some things that seem important to me. I want us to look at Ice Cube, specifically some of the business relationships that he have. He's co-founder with Jeff, and I'm finna slaughter this name, Kawatinsnitz or something. I'm gonna just call him Jeff K from now on. But he's co-founder with Ice Cube with the Big Three, and he's also the COO of Cube Vision. Now, here's what's important. Jeff is friends with Steve Bannon, which is one of Trump's former strategists. So there go the connection between Trump and Ice Cube. And keep in mind, Cube never really met. He never met with Trump. He just met with Trump's administration. So keep that in mind also as you're thinking about this. So we just kind of see how stuff is going. Because Trump didn't even meet specifically with Cube. He just kind of sent his representatives. But anyway, think about this. When you're in business with somebody, that means you pretty much trust that person and this and that. So what I'm looking at is, Cube probably trusts this Jeff K guy. So this Jeff K guy has got connections with Trump. And then if he's feeding Cube information, it might sway Cube away from how we remember. We think about Cube as NWA, Doughboy, and all of that. But as time goes on, he's probably more in that Calvin lane than he is that Doughboy lane, which is fine. The only thing I'm saying is sometimes you can be influenced by the other side and not even realize it. Just because you're doing business with a person, that don't mean they always got your best interest in heart. Because more than likely, a person got their best interest in heart. But that's just something that I just want us to be cognizant of as we move forward, reading through this contract. But enough of that. Let's go ahead and get into the contract with Black America. There's a preface and an introduction. I'm gonna start off with the introduction, but I'm gonna advise you to go back and read the preface and actually read the whole 22-page contract. I'm just going over the summarized version because it's just too much to cover the whole 22-page contract. But I think each individual Black person should take a look at it for themselves and draw their own conclusion from it. It's nicely written. It's got some things in there that kind of have you scratching your head on some of the stuff. But don't just go by what you hear me saying today, because these, like I said, are my opinions and what I think about it. Please go and read the entire contract and dig into it yourself to see, what you might think of it, or maybe you might find something there that you can help me out and explain it to me, because I'm always looking for information. But enough of that. Let's jump right into it now. Let's go right into it. As citizens and lawmakers both, we are joining to demand the contract with Black America be addressed immediately to finally create the more perfect union all Americans deserve. As such, it is time for a complete paradigm shift in how we run our institutions and operate our country. The problems facing America are too deep and wide to simply reform one area or another. Long-lasting solutions demand a comprehensive, thorough rethink of America so that each new approach in each area supports the success of the others. This contract with Black America will provide conceptual approaches in several areas. Now, here's what I like about this introduction to the contract. It says what we must do as Americans, not blacks, not whites, as Americans. I think that's important that we stop making a difference between white, black, and this and that. I think Morgan Freeman said it on 60 Minutes once. You stop calling me a black man, I stop calling you a white man, and we could just address each other as men. The second thing I liked about it was the term paradigm shift. This means a fundamental change in approach, because what we're doing now is not working, and it's not worked, and it was never designed to work. It never was. Well, not for everybody, I'll say that. Thirdly, I like the term rethink of America. We always hear the term the greatest country in the world. Yet you look around and it's obvious we've slid down a little bit. We're still a great country. I'm never gonna say we're nowhere near the worst, but we're lacking. And I feel like we need a change right now to get America not back to where it was, but to get America back to what it's supposed to represent from the beginning for everybody, not a specific race, group, or anything, for everybody. And until we get to that point, we're never going to be great. Now, as we go along this contract, it's 13 resolutions to the CWBA, Contract with Black America. Normally we go 1 through 13, but I want to start at 13 instead because I think it's the most important resolution. And you might ask why. Well, everything sounds good when you can get this and you can get that, and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. But at the end, it's always a catch. It's always a catch. So what I want to do is start at the back and then go to the front, so you can hear what your obligation is for the contract. So I want you to hear what you got to do to uphold your part of the contract. So basically, when we talk about black on black crime, violence, senseless murders, illegal drugs, single parent homes, or anything that has contributed to the demise of the black race, All these things need to be addressed first, in my opinion. It's just like we go out here and we get these young athletes millions and millions of dollars, and 5 or 6 years down the line, they broke and all of this, and we're like, man, you had $30 million and you broke. Yeah, they broke because they weren't able to handle that large windfall of money. And it's the same thing if we start getting stuff and we're not prepared to get it, it's gonna be a waste. And then we're gonna be right back in the line saying, I need help for this and that. So I think that we need to address number 13 first to get us prepared for what we could potentially get down the line. Uh, Now the title of resolution, I'm calling resolution. Resolution number 13 is titled Black Responsibility. So let's take a listen to this right quick, and you guys pay close attention to all the content in this. The 13th resolution, Black Americans' Responsibility. Chronic poverty creates an atmosphere full of negativity, frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and violence. These are some conditions that plague the Black community, which is dealing with extreme generational poverty. As we begin to gain social and economic equality, it is our duty to clean up ourselves and our community. This contract is a two-way street. As we gain social and economic equality, we must begin to dissolve any bitterness in our hearts for past wrongs. We must become better citizens who are more productive on all levels of American society. We really must step up after we pass the contract with Black America with no more excuses. Our entertainers should be persuaded to deliver more positive content that leads our youth to make better choices in life. A new pride must develop with these new opportunities, and we must fight against negativity, frustration, hopelessness, depression, alcoholism, drug abuse, crime, and violence. See, that part about we must begin to dissolve any bitterness in our hearts for past wrongs. I wonder why that part's in there. I have an idea why, but that's for a whole nother topic. But I do want to know what you guys think about that. Email me at intheclutchpodcast@gmail and let me know why do you think that part is in here. Because that's kind of interesting that would be in this contract. And let me know what you think about the Black responsibility. I want to know what you think about that also. But now let's start at number one. Let's get into the number one resolution in here, and it's titled Bill to Guarantee Black Opportunity and Representation. So let's get right into that. Resolution number one, a bill to guarantee Black opportunity and representation. Adopt a plan of neo-reconstruction to redress past wrongs systematically imposed on Black Americans economically throughout many generations that has resulted in a wealth gap where the average white family has 10 times the wealth of a Black family. In addition to some of the economic initiatives listed below, also formally apologize to Black Americans for past discrimination and slavery. Additionally, Black opportunity and representation will include affirmative action in schools, public and private, per student funding in states on an equal basis instead of paid by local property taxes. Black representation on all government civil rights bodies, civil rights classes mandatory in elementary schools, gerrymandering reform, additional polling places in Black and minority neighborhoods, and Juneteenth to become a federal holiday. And here's where you go to read the fine print. I wish I had time to break this down for you guys, but we're going to have to go and read the whole entire contract for yourself. Although I think, all of this is great, here's the part that kind of gets under my skin. No, first off, let me ask you a question. How many of you Black Americans are descendants of slaves? And if you said yes, how can you prove it? Now, in the fine print, this is what we have to deal with. For Black Americans to be eligible for all of this stuff we talking about getting, We must provide documentation proving that our descendants, that we are descendants from at least one enslaved person. They must also prove that they have identified as black or African American for at least 10 years prior to the institution of the reparations program. See, this the type of stuff that I be talking about where everything sounds good, let's get it done, and this and that, and then, here we go, here we go, here we go. Now we got to prove that we were descendants of slaves. I mean, come on now. I mean, and someone please help me with this because I know it's a reason why it's in there. I mean, that's just like, okay, let's just say someone comes from Africa today and want to get reparations for past. Okay, I get that. But for the most part, you know what? Email me at intheclutchpodcast@gmail.com and let me know what you guys feel about that. Let's just go on to let's go on to number 2, the second resolution. That's bank lending reform. The second resolution, bank lending reform. Bank lending will be regulated to require banks to lend a percentage of all loan and credit categories on an equal basis to the black population each bank serves. However, the minimum threshold must yearly meet the percentage equal to the national population, currently approximately 13.4%. Rates on black loans federally and from banks to be the same average rates as whites. Okay, sounds good. But remember resolution number 13. And y'all know some of y'all can't even go borrow $20 from one of your friends. Never mind, moving on. Let's move on to resolution number 3. Federal funding of baby bonds. Now, y'all gonna like this one because I like this one too. This is a good one. How it's gonna work, I'm not sure, but y'all gonna like this one. The third resolution, federal funding of baby bonds. Pass federal program providing every child with a government-funded trust account at birth starting with a $1,000 contribution. As proposed by Senator Booker and Representative Presley, accounts to be managed by the Treasury, and only those born into lower wealth families will receive more contributions each year, up to $46,500 total. At age 18, access to the funds allowed, but use restricted to asset-enhancing actions such as buying homes, starting businesses, and funding education. Not going out buying gold chains, not putting rims on your cars, but for buying homes, starting businesses, and funding education, up to $46,500. Now, the only thing about this, I'm interested in how this one is going to be set up and how it would actually work. Now, if we getting on the same level, what would be considered a lower level family? See, it's the qualification language that's throwing me off. Because is it for everybody? Because we're trying to make everybody equal. But then we got qualifications that say, okay, a certain person might not qualify. See, that's the language that's going to have to be cleaned up in all of these bills, laws, and everything. Because the language sometimes throws us off that it sounds good, but when you find out I don't even qualify, now you're like, well, what was even the purpose of having this? So we need more clarity on that. But okay, let's move on to the next one, which is number 4, resolution number 4, Federal Reserve and government pensions. Let's check this out and see how this goes. The 4th resolution, Federal Reserve and government pensions. For qualified black Americans, Federal Reserve to allow a one-time interest-free loan for home ownership. The Fed to ensure banks and institutions overseas comply with bank lending reform. Fed to adopt modern monetary theory with goal of full employment and avoidance of actual inflation. Federal and state pension funds control over $1 trillion. They must allocate 13.4% of their investments into black-owned enterprises and businesses. Venture capital and private equity funds that take money, public entities must invest 13.4% of their total funds in black-owned businesses. For qualified black Americans, Federal Reserve to allow one-time interest-free loan for home ownership. There go the clause. Qualified black Americans. I'm going to rename this contract CFQBA contract for qualified black Americans. These 4 resolutions calling for a lot of money, and trust me, if it can be done, I think it need to be done. I'm sure it's a way to make it work. But when we start talking about interest-free loans and all of this, I just wonder, how is this money going to be generated? How, and trust me, I know the government wastes billions of dollars and all of that. I just want to know how this contract, if it could ever be passed into law, how is it going to affect America in general? And, like I said, we need to rethink everything from the Constitution to the Supreme Court to everything. If we could just burn it all down. Wait a minute. Wrong term, because people take that the wrong way. If we could just fundamentally push restart with everybody coming together, that's what needs to happen. How it could happen, I don't know. This is why we're talking about this. This is why Cube got this thing going. This is why other people have things going. It's just, I don't like the language. I'm not feeling this language when it's qualified this and qualified that and all of that. It makes me a little leery of the whole contract thing. But nonetheless, where we at now? We on resolution number 5, finance oversight. Check this one out. The 5th resolution, finance oversight. A banking commission will be set up to overlook and report on black and minority lending, housing ownership and mortgages, and enforcement of items 2 and 3 above. Such authority will oversee and audit federal programs such as Economic Opportunity Zones and Community Reinvestment Act to determine who is benefiting from disbursement of such funds. Will provide for a transparent reporting mechanism for abuses to economic programs designed to benefit communities in need. That was kind of self-explanatory, so we can move on from that one. Resolution number 6, personal data and credit. Okay, let's check that one out. The 6th resolution, personal data and credit. Most states publicly release bulk data about arrestees unchecked, like the 1970 Fair Credit Reporting Act regarding credit data. There must be guidelines regarding arrest records that allow similar privacy and accuracy protections and the right to dispute and correct inaccurate data. Credit services will be reformed to mandate consideration of individual consumer data on rent, utility, cell phone, and other like bills. Makes sense. We can just keep moving on. Some of these things you need to go back and read the whole contract. I'm imploring you guys to please go back and just take a moment to just read the whole entire contract so you can get some of the context for yourself. As anything else, do your own research. Don't just go by what I'm saying or take my opinion, which I think is a good opinion, but go back and please read it for yourself. Okay, moving on. We're on resolution number 7, prison reform. This should be a good one also. The 7th resolution, prison reform. Privately run prisons will be abolished. Prison labor disallowed without consent, and nonviolent offenders incarcerated for 10 years or longer will be freed if good behavior standards are met. All prisoners for marijuana possession freed. First offense for illegal drug use or possession to require government payment for entry into an approved drug rehabilitation program rather than imprisonment. Once any prisoner completes sentence, voting rights are restored. Please go read the contract. Please go read the contract. Uh, Kind of not the most important, but one of the more important things that I got out of this resolution is that people, after they serve their sentences, jail sentences, that their voting rights are restored. And I look at this from the perspective of, if you do the crime, you get caught, you go to jail, you do your time, it's always you serve your time. After you serve your time, you're supposed to be forgiven. So if I'm forgiven for what I did and I paid the price, why are my voting rights not restored? Why can I not vote? Why can I not make an impact if I'm out here and I'm living a productive life? Why am I not able to vote? And a lot needs to go into more of this because people get out, they can't get jobs, they can't, it's a lot of things that when you get out of prison, it's almost like it sets you up to put you right back in prison. So I think some of the language in this prison reform is pretty good. It's a lot of stuff in here that's pretty good as a matter of fact. Yeah. Let's go read the contract. I can't say it enough. Go read the contract. Now we're at resolution number 8, judicial reform. This another interesting one. Check this out. The 8th resolution, judicial reforms. Eliminate mandatory minimums and 3-strike laws. The Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice reform through stricter guidelines and greater oversight over police departments. DOJ can be sued for noncompliance. Lynching to become a federal hate crime, and the Ku Klux Klan declared a terrorist organization. To me, it's just kind of interesting to me, why haven't the Ku Klux Klan and other organizations, why haven't they already been considered terrorist organizations or groups? It's a head scratcher. But I'm glad we're now at least trying to put something in place that will maybe make these groups, I don't know if you can ever make things like this go away, but disencourage them. I guess that's the word I'm looking for. I mean, if you got, we fight ISIS and all these other, the Taliban and all these organizations that are abroad, but we never address the ones that are right here in America. I don't care if you a white organization, a black organization, if you're black and you don't like whites, you're whites and you don't like blacks. I mean, it's time for all of this stuff to just end. It's just time. It's not even time out for it. It's just game over. Game over. We've had enough of this. Why do you hate me so much? Why? I mean, I just want to know why. Why do you hate me so much? What have I done to you? What have I done to you? Now, I'm gonna speak to, and I'm kind of going off what I wanted to do with this, but it's on my mind, so I'm finna go ahead and let it out. Black people, we need to do better. And it's not all of us. That's the problem. It's not all of us. The senseless. We here in Memphis, and have we already broke the record for murders this year? We close to it or something like that. I mean, that's just ridiculous. You can blame it on the pandemic. You can blame it on whatever you want to, but it has to stop. Black crime, black on black crime, or whatever you want to call it, however you want to refer to it, it's just got to stop. It's senseless. What are you fighting over? What are you killing each other over? Because you ain't fighting, you killing. And you killing innocent people. People that ain't have nothing to do with whatever beef you got with whoever. You shooting up the wrong people. I mean, it's got to stop. I mean, it's no getting around it. There's no, well, I did it because no. Time out for all of that. It's no game over for all of that. And we've got to start doing something. And hopefully this contract is the start. Yeah, I'm thinking, because I listened to Dr. Claude Anderson. If you never heard anything about Dr. Claude Anderson, you need to research him too and read some of his books and go listen to some of his interviews. His thinking is that if we had the wealth, that most of this stuff wouldn't be going on. So hopefully this contract will get us in the position that we can get the wealth we need so that all of this nonsense violence and stuff just stops. But anyway, let me. That's for another show. I apologize for getting off track. I said I wasn't gonna do it, but I had to. We're at resolution number 9, and I think this is gonna be something that's important to everybody because I think we all need it. Not just here. I just heard something about what's going on in Nigeria. I'm not gonna even elaborate on that. That's another thing that you need to go read and look into for yourself because what's going on over there, it just lets you know it's not just here, it's everywhere. And but anyway, resolution number 9, Police Reform Act. The 9th resolution, Police Reform Act. Police reforms will be implemented in an expansive act that will at minimum include elimination of qualified immunity, requirement of mandatory malpractice insurance for police officers, make municipalities liable for unconstitutional actions by police, mandatory use of dashboard and body cams, elimination of chokeholds and no-knock warrants, establishment of residency requirements, de-escalation training and requirements to update training, severe penalties for evidence tampering, including withholding DNA, a federal database of police and disciplinary records established and made public and once fired for cause not to be rehired, creation of Office of Independent Prosecutors to solely focus on prosecuting police accused of wrongdoing, other reforms as listed in general detail in the contract with Black America. Now see, I think the most important part of this is that police will be required to have malpractice insurance, just like a doctor or a lawyer. I'm interested to know who would actually pay this insurance, but I think this is a great idea because anytime money is involved, it tends to make people act a little bit better. And I think by having police officers where if it's a situation where they're proved to have done something wrong, that they pay the consequences of it, not the city, not the people, because it don't make sense for us to go sue the police department and get a big settlement and then that money coming out of taxpayer money. So we actually paying it ourselves. I think if they set this up where police are held responsible for, the things that they do, I think that'll curtail some of this rogue police officers, but it's just like anything else. Police have to police themselves too. If it's a police officer out there and they see another police officer doing something wrong, hey, I think they should step in. Will it happen? I know it's a brotherhood and I understand all of that, but we got to make some changes, and I think this Police Reform Act is a great start. Now we're up to number 10. Resolution 10, FCC licensing of public airwaves. Y'all pay close attention to this one. The 10th resolution, FCC licensing of public airwaves. Broadcast networks will be required to air Black-produced content equal to 20% of the total content on the network as measured by time. Oh, boy, I tell you. Mandatory funding of Black studios by the largest Hollywood studios. That's what this contract says. record companies and television studios and networks to compensate for years of lack of support, stereotyping, and damage to black culture. Each will be required to fund an amount yearly. That's see that's what I be talking about. Where this is just my opinion. This is just what I'm thinking. When people start asking for stuff and you say it's for everybody, then you just throw in something that's kind of for you. Cube vision. You know what I'm saying? Cube vision. This would definitely help Cube vision. But I want to give a shout out to Tyler Perry because I think he went around Hollywood, and I think he did it the right way. And he said, you know what? I'm gonna start out where y'all weren't paying me no attention, y'all weren't giving me what I needed, and I slowly but surely built it up and built my own where nobody has to give. I'm sure he's got some help some kind of way, but basically he did it on his own. Now he write his own checks. I'm sure don't get me wrong, I don't know how he got his thing set up, but I'm sure, he's probably getting some help some kind of way, but for the most part, it's his. So he climbed that ladder. And he's doing big things, and he's employing black people. He's employing black writers. He need to have his own award show. I'm gonna be honest. I wasn't the biggest Muddeer fan. I watched the movies. They pretty good. He got some good movies. But for him to come from where he came from to where he is now, hey. It's just this part of the contract. I just look at it like, since I'm doing this, let me throw something in there to help myself out. It's just my opinion. I might be wrong. I don't know. Nonetheless, it is what it is. We're at resolution number 11. Confederate monuments and institutions. Email me at intheclutchpodcast@gmail.com to let me know how you feel about this. I want to know what you guys feel about Confederate monuments and institutions and things like this. But take a listen to what this resolution states. The 11th resolution, Confederate monuments and institutions. Elimination of all Confederate statutes and uses or displays of Confederate flags on government grounds or property with public access. Rename all streets, schools, public structures, etc., named after Confederate soldiers or leaders. A memorial will be built in Washington, D.C. to victims of police excessive force. I need somebody to explain to me why this hadn't been done years ago. The Confederate Army lost. That's like us flying the British flag after the Revolutionary War. And I know people, it's my heritage, okay. That don't make sense. I'm not going to get into this right now because I know it'll probably cause a lot of controversy and stuff, it's just, they were treasonous people that turned on the government. And they lost. You lost. So what I don't understand. What are you you celebrating a loss. You promoting a loss. And it's causing, okay, whatever. But it's causing a divide in this country. And there's no place for it. If we all are the United States of America, how can we have different flags? How is that possible? if we are the United States of America, and it's got to stop somewhere. This is a good beginning for us to start doing this. Some people not gonna agree, you know. And I'm gonna say this. I think the good thing about it, they're not just gonna take the statues and stuff down and this and that and destroy them and this and that. Okay, they're gonna put them in a museum for historical reference or whatever. I think that should have been done whenever. That should have been the first thing that was done. But that's just my opinion. I know some people gonna have, they're not gonna agree because they've been raised with that Confederate flag and that's their heritage and all of this. And, I hate to dismiss anybody's heritage or what they believe. But if it's divisive to the country, I just feel like it shouldn't be promoted. But that's, of course, this is my opinion. And they also are thinking about having a memorial in Washington, D.C. for victims of excessive police force, people who've been abused by police. I don't have a problem with it. I don't have a problem with it. It's probably a good idea, so I don't have a problem with it. Okay, let's move on to the last resolution number 12. Since we already went over 13, we'll go over 12. 12 will be the last one, since we already covered 13. And 12 is the AGP Program for Education and Jobs. AJP is American Job Pact. So you guys take a listen to this right quick, and we'll come back and we'll start wrapping this up. The 12th resolution, AJP Program for Education and Jobs. Adoption of AJP, a public-private program that provides access to jobs and education and/or training for people willing to put in the work and commitment. AJP, sounds good. Sounds good. I'm interested to know, how these programs are going to be set up and what are the qualifications going to be. Just like everything else, it's a qualification. So, but hey, we'll see. So basically, that's the CWBA, Contract with Black America. Want to know what you guys think. And I encourage you still to go read. If you want to just go read the summary again, or if you just want to listen to, the voiceover I made for it, I still want you to go read the whole 22-page contract because I think it's so important because it's more detailed and you can get more out of it than what I just went over. So email us in the clutch podcast, INDACLUTCH podcast @gmail.com. With any comments, any questions, or whatever. If it's a question I can help you with, no problem. But I just want to get some input on this. I think the contract is a good thing, and I just hope it doesn't turn into a good thing that turns into a bad thing. I'm a little leery of the language and the qualifications and all of that. I don't know. I just when you say prove that you're black and prove that your descendants and all of that. I mean, how that's finna work. That's just. But to Ice Cube's credit, he did say that this contract by no means was a finished product, and I think he basically said he wanted it to be debated, which is I'm kind of debating it, and he wanted it to be perfected. So let's do that. Let's come together as Americans, not just blacks. Let's come together as Americans and let's bridge the gap. It's a wealth gap. It's a racial gap as far as racism. Let's put it all out on the table and let's try to make this thing work. Because I don't think white America's going anywhere. I don't think black America's going anywhere. We got immigrants coming in and And it's so many different things that are going on at one time, and we're so divided that we're just being every aspect of America is just being torn down right now, and we need to wipe the slate clean and build it back up. So let's try to do that. Another thing that came to my mind, and I just happened to see it as I was thinking about it, where we had women started chiming in on like, okay, where's our part of the contract? And I think Ice Cube addressed that, saying that he had some women on the panel that was helping him with it, and he wanted input from the women, and things like that. I don't even want to call it a problem, but here's what happens. Once you start saying, okay, it was supposed to be Black America, contract with Black America. Okay, if you're a Black woman, aren't you a Black American? And the problem I have is once you start, I think when you said contract with Black America, that's a broad statement, and I think that covers Black. If you Black, you covered. What's going to happen is now you're going to say, okay, we got a women's section. Now, okay, when the LGBT come out and say, okay, well, we want a section, and then another group of broken down under Black come in and say, okay, well, we want our section, then we're going to be right back where we was at. Let me know what you think about that. In the Clutch Podcast at gmail.com. Overall, I think the contract is pretty good, besides some of the language. I see a lot of resistance going to come from, let's be honest, white people who may feel like, okay, it might be fair to you, but it ain't fair to us then, And that's why I said not only should it be where if we're gonna get reparations, let's figure out how we can get reparations. After that, let's figure out, okay, now since we trying to catch up, since we so far behind, how can we make it good for everybody? Probably can't even do it, to be honest. Cause somebody, you got hard workers and you got lazy people. The lazy people, they don't want to work hard. They want to get the easy handouts. I work hard, but if you're going to give me something, I'm going to take it. I mean, I'm not going to turn it down. If I qualify for it, I want to get it, but I don't have a problem working. It's the person that wants the handout that even after you give them the handout, is still not going to be willing to work. Those are people I have problems with. So, I think as a country, with all the protests and all the things that are going on, we're trying to go in the right direction. We headed in a better direction. We still got a long way to go. Over the years, have things been right? No. Have things been better? Yes. So my hope is that we can make the necessary changes in this country, to get us to where we're supposed to be. Because we're supposed to be the greatest country in the world. And at one point we probably were. We probably were the greatest country externally, but we weren't the greatest country internally. We always trying to help this country and that country, and we doing this, and I know there's reasons behind it that we might not know, and all that, and all that's fine. It's fine. That's fine. But it's like anything else. Before you go try to fix something else, fix yourself first. And we need fixing. So, although I don't agree with everything in the contract, I don't agree with all of the language in the contract, I don't agree with how Ice Cube is coming off with it. I think he means well, so I applaud him for that. And I hope that we can make the changes that are necessary for this country. I hope that we can make the changes that are necessary for Black Americans. But I go back to resolution number 13, which is why I think it was the most important one. It starts with us making that change. It starts with us stopping the killing, stopping the violence, stopping the drug use. Stop everything that's hurting us. We need to make Black America great again. When Black businesses were flourishing, when Black businesses, we supported our own. We had our own everything. I already know what somebody gonna say. Every time we do that, they come in and they destroy it. They did. Too many instances to name right now. We all know about them. That's why history is so important. We know how great we were. We can get back to it. We need to get back to it. It's one step at a time. It's just one step at a time. We can't snap our fingers and tomorrow everything's gonna be okay. It's gonna take time. Whatever changes we make, it's gonna take time. I had a lieutenant colonel when I was in the Marine Corps. Went into his office and we were talking, and we was like, Lieutenant Colonel, you me and my guy, Darrell Bobbitt. We walked into the lieutenant colonel's office. We just wanted to go in and see how he was doing. We wanted to go check on him. And we asked him, how you feel? Lieutenant Colonel, Colonel, it might have been I think it was Colonel. It was Colonel. I'm sorry about that, Colonel. Took some rank from you. And he was in line to become a brigadier general. And we asked him, how do you feel? You waited so long to become a Black general in the Marine Corps. He sat us down and he told us, he said, it's been a long journey. He said, but you got to think, we've been so far behind for so long that it was gonna take a long time for me to become a general. It doesn't happen overnight, but we got to keep pushing. We got to keep pushing. We got to make things happen for ourselves. But the one thing he instilled in me was, don't worry about what's going on around you. Take care of you. If you take care of you, everything else will take care of itself. Men, women. What's important? What's really important? Think about that. I'm not gonna tell you what should be important to you or what should not be important. I'm just all off base now. Let me stop. Let me reel this back in, because I could keep going on and on and on. What I want you guys to do, though, seriously, read the contract. I want you to read it for yourself, and I want you to think about it. And I want you to take some time to figure out what you can do to help us or help everybody in this fight that we're fighting right now. It's so important. It's so important. Get out and vote. Whoever you're voting for, I think my position on, who I'm voting for, or I already voted for. I went early voting. But what I want you guys to do is to read the contract. Don't glance over it. Just read it. Read the whole thing and see what you can do to help improve your community. Let's start with our own household first. What can you do to improve your household? And then let's take it to the community. And then let's take it to the neighborhood. And then let's take it to the city. Then let's take it to the state. Then let's take it to the country. But it all starts with us, and we got to do better. We all got to do better. But I'm gonna close this out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you learned something. I hope you do go read it. And once again, if you got any comments, questions, in the clutch podcast at gmail.com. Check out the show. We're on YouTube. Go on YouTube and search for us. Subscribe to the channel. In the Clutch Sports Talk and More podcast. Check out some of, I named it Sports Talk and More because initially it was all about sports, but I knew at some point in time I was going to want to talk about other issues. And this is one of the other issues I felt that I wanted to address. Moving forward, we will be addressing sports, we will be addressing politics, we will be addressing anything that comes to our mind. But I want you to concentrate on this contract with Black America right now and voting. And with that being said, I'm going to close it out. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I enjoyed doing it for you. Peace out.
We are the species on this planet. I want to know what's the purpose of a ghetto? What are we here for? Oh, if you could let me know. Is it a demand or is command? We are the species on this planet.
Now as I look up to the sky, and I ask the good Lord why does life just pass me by? They don't wanna see me fly. Don't wanna wake up out my sleep because the drama hurts. Now all my life they considered Mungo to be the worst. Only thing these niggas wanna do is argue, fuss, and curse. Label Mungo a outcast soon as mama gave me birth. Sometimes I wish I was that nigga laying in that hurts. My head start hurting, feeling like my brain about to burst. Grandma telling me, boy, you need to get with God first. Get on your hands and knees and pray, she guarantees it works. She say every Sunday I need to be the first thing in a church. And damn it's sad cause she know her grandbaby doing dirt. But life is hard when you live in a world that's filled with stress. In peace I want to rest, it got me feeling so depressed. I wonder is my life on earth just really truly worthless? Am I here for a reason? Do my life serve a purpose? I wanna put that pistol to my head and squeeze the trigger. No one would really care, it's just another nigga. If I end my life tonight, I often wonder how it be. When y'all shed tears for me, I bet you hell a sight to see. But when I'm dead and gone, I think I'll be better off. At least I know where I'm going. Right now I'm just out here lost, pay a cost to be the boss.